for Lord, we just thank you for another day that you've given us. We thank you for all these that have come to act on behalf of our library. And Lord, we just thank you for the interest that the community shows. And Lord, just lead, guide, and direct us in everything that we do. In Christ's name we ask it. Amen. Amen. So we do have a quota, and Yolanda, with all of these folks here, I think we just need to go ahead and take care of the business so they don't have to sit here through the whole meeting. We appreciate all y'all coming.
Tommy, I can't hear you very well. You speak a little louder.
You want to come over here?
No. Speak up.
I just want to point out, because I'm chairman of the Dillon County Library Board, and Yolanda is director of the Dillon County Library System. And when I talk, I'm not talking for Tommy Stevens. I'm talking for this board, and I'm talking for Yolanda. I just happen to be the spokesperson. So I hope y'all would
excuse us.
Good morning, ladies. Like I said, we do, appreciate all the interest from the library community, and from the board's discussion and with Yolanda's input. Well, she's at the library every day. She knows what's going on. She knows what the problems are. And of course, the board, follows her recommendations on what we need to do. And with the library building, we recognize that all you good people from Louder, you like to keep the library that we have and just spend McMillan's money and adding a reading room to it as he had in his will. Versus Yolanda, she had an article in the paper about all the pros and cons of keeping the old library or building a new library. And our feeling was that we got to consider what Mr. McMillan has done, that he's made enough money available that if the people want a new library, the money is there to do it, as long as we can go through all the approval process to get it done. But if you want to renovate the old library, the architect we had, recommended that the reading room that Mr. McMillan wanted would probably cost about $1 million. So if we did that, we'd spend $1 million, and it'd be $1.5 million, that we don't use going somewhere. So that's kind of been the problem that the board has been grappling with. We can spend $1 million and renovate the library and let the other $1.5 million go, or we could entertain building a new library and using all that money. We don't know, when that money like that would ever be available again, whether the county 20 years down the road would have money to build a new library then if it was needed. So that's kind of the situation that the library board has been discussing for all this length of time. So we'd be glad to hear from any of y'all would like to say something.
I would. I think I've been here before. Trying to as far as I get. I grew up right down from the library. The library's been a cornerstone for our whole community ever since I can remember. And as I said, I grew up in the library. You know, when Dunbar Library burned, I don't know, 15 years ago, somebody had come with the money to build this building. And I assumed that Dillon County did that.
No, they didn't.
Who did?
The state and the federal government. I'm sorry, sir. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Well, that's fine.
The state and the
I
federal
didn't know that.
government. The state gave $1 million and the federal government gave $500,000. Well, not gave, it's all taxpayers' money.
Okay, so we went for, they built this building for $1,500,000.
1.5.
Okay. And apparently the question is not money. The question is, do we want the cornerstone to be there? That library is located in the historic district of Lida. It is on the national register. The materials I've read said the state register. But and it may be, but I know it's on the historical register also. That library was completely renovated in 2014. And there is the program for the rededication of the library.
It's 2004.
I said 14? 2004, excuse me. I was on the committee to, and Yolanda was on it, and several more people. But, you know, back in July, I saw in the paper where the county board was going to have a meeting of the Lida community over in the Lida library to make a determination as to whether or not you all were going to recommend a new library or renovate the current library. And I went to that thing, and I'm not sure who all went. This whole crowd over here is from Lida, and that crowd down there is from Lida, and of course Buzz is from Lida, and two of our members here on this board are from Lida. But I only saw when the purpose of that meeting was to determine whether or not the people of Lida wanted a new library. And when it was called for a vote, I saw only one person, maybe two, vote for a new library. Everybody else there voted to keep the library where it is. Y'all don't know the history of Lida or that library. That library was built by Carnegie money. It was built for $5,000 to start with. Mr. Bass gave the land where it is. I have a question for you all. I got a letter from Yolanda, or maybe Tommy, after y'all's last meeting here, that I was here, wanting to know if I would donate that house and lot next to the library, or either what I would ask for it. I think maybe you sent Mr. Bremer one too.
Yes, sir.
But anyway, I didn't respond because I wasn't sure what I was going to do. But I wonder, I'd like to ask you all, if that lot, my house and that lot, the selling of it or the giving of it, if that has any bearing on y'all's thinking in terms of the renovation of the library.
Only to the point that we know if we do it, that we would need your property.
Yeah, you would need my property and also DeWitt Coleman.
Yeah.
And if you recall, DeWitt Coleman was here at that same meeting that I was here, and he said that he and John D. owned that thing together, and that he inherited it from his mama. And his mama said, don't ever sell that lot, except to the library. So it's available. My lot's available. The question is, is money a problem? You indicated, Tom, and I have to correct you, I've got a copy of the will, and I got a copy of the trust. And it says in the trust that what's not spent on the library is held in trust in Georgia for the benefit of the Lida Library. Were you aware of that? Well, you indicated a while ago it stays somewhere else.
In Georgia.
No, it would not. You're wrong. The money, the capital would stay there, but the benefit would go to the Lida Library, which would give some relief from the county in maintaining the library. Lida Library started off as the first library in Dillon County. It supplied not only the Lida area, but it supplied, later on, it supplied the schools of Dillon County. Dillon High School, Lakeview High School, and Lida High School. Not many people know that. I can remember as a child, when they first, Miss Maryville Clay bought, who was the librarian, chief librarian then, she acquired, with government funds, of course, a bookmobile. And I remember seeing that bookmobile at the school. I realized time changed, but some things don't change. And I would ask you people to recommend to the county council that that they renovate the other library. You know, when we renovated the last time, it says in this program who the architect was. But there was no engineer, an architect. And we hadn't had 2 floods either. But we have had 2. But I think with the money that is available through Mr. McMillan, that the basement can be eliminated. I'm no architect, I'm no engineer either, but I believe that a study could be done that would tell us how it could be accomplished. Now, the original floor of the Lida Library is that high above the dirt. It has never flooded, never flooded. The addition in 1930, 31, I believe it was, with WPA money, if any of you are old enough to remember that, they added to the original library that upstairs part in the back. And they went downstairs and dug a basement. And that's been the problem ever since. It was dug, according to the history that I read of the library, which is more than 50 years old, it was dug for the purpose of bookbinding and storage. It was not a part of the library itself. And that's the main part that floods. But that library is the hub of that whole end of town. And I mean, if y'all want to do what the people of Lida want, I believe you know that if you went to that meeting. That's about all I have to say. I know that there's some other people here that have something to say, but I would like to pass this around. This is just a little something I've had for a long time. It's kind of a pictorial history of the Lida Library. Anybody have any questions? Let me say this. I don't want to give my property away. It's a valuable asset to me. I get rent every month from that house. But if you tell me that this whole deal depends on that house and lot, I'll give it to you. But I'll have a stipulation in it. And that stipulation is that it never leaves the use of the Lida Library. But I want somebody to tell me that that's going to make or break the deal. That's all. Fred, you got anything you want to say?
I might have. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Fred Ellis, I'm from Latta, and I got, to try to keep it easier here, I'm trying to think, what's a common sense way of dealing with all of this? So I'm thinking, I went to the library and Yolanda, who my wife says she taught Yolanda's one of the smartest kids she ever taught. You know, and she gave me a good tour, and she showed me some of the things that were lacking and everything. So. All right. So, you betcha. Some more for. So, but every time I've been in the library, it looks in good condition, it's clean, it's neat as a pin. Information, what you're looking for is easy to find. So, I started getting prices and everything. It seemed like with the basement, the cheapest way to go is to fill the thing in, cement it over the top, maybe some plastic sheeting involved, wherever the engineer says to do it, and leave that door shut. Yolanda leaves that door shut. It's got a good weather stripping on it. And when the door is closed, it's not a problem. If that thing's open, and there's no reason for it to be open because it's not getting used, there is an odor, there's dampness, and you know, as she pointed out, books are going to absorb that smell, and it's going to be less desirable of a place to use. So that might could take care of that. I've got an elevator in the house. I know several good elevator repair companies. The weather stripping on the front door may be the cheapest thing to fix on that list of what needs repairs. I saw a little damage down there. It looked like water damage from the 2 floods. And I gotta say, man, when we get a direct hit from a hurricane, there's gonna be flooding. You know, we can't tear everything in the town down just because we got hit by a hurricane. You know, but I figured out what it would take to do that. Okay. Now, DeWitt and John D. Coleman need to speak for themselves, but I talked to DeWitt the other night, and I said, tell me what y'all are going to do. He says, we're going to get David McClaren, somebody who is a certified appraiser, to go through the process, write up what the value of our lot, you know, is perceived to be by people that know. And he says, that way, we feel like we're getting a square deal, and the library, they should feel like they're not paying too much or didn't take advantage either. So I thought, well, that sounds pretty good. All right. Now you can figure out whether you want $180 a square foot or what it's going to take nowadays to build. A 2,500 square foot addition is a good bit of room. More or less is going to depend on what you, the library trustees, think is going to be the right size per Dr. McMillan's wishes, or what the library needs. I mean, it could be that more than a reading room for children and adolescents is needed, or could really be utilized, or could make a difference in the town. All right, but what's left over, it's easy to get 5%, or a good bit more actually these days. You don't want to go too high because the higher you go to, the less safe your money is. But the money left over, 75 to 80K, 80,000 a year. I mean, that's a lot of library maintenance, getting new materials, because when you add on to a library the size of one, you got to have something to put in there, and that's not free. Now, I see some people when they retire, they say, well, you can take 2 to 4% of your principal out per year. Well, you can do that if you want to. It just depends on what the financial needs are. I was reading something in the minutes about going to the state to get more money, but there's nothing like having your own money and not having to go through all of those, jump through all those hoops. Now, the county, you know, y'all make the recommendation, but who has the final say? In this case, it's two groups. One is the county council, because, let's face it, they're the ones that's got the cash. And so is Wells Fargo. And Wells Fargo, they're also interested in Wells Fargo. That's right, that's right. So those are the two groups here that are going to be the final decision. So anyway, I think that speaks for itself there under Roman numeral 3. I know the county's not interested in, you know, unexpected expenditures or anything. Buzzy can address that if he feels the need. Does anybody want to ask me anything about what we got here?
Oh, I
Yeah,
just want to point something out.
Go ahead.
All of our HVACs are now located in the basement. These things flood when the basement floods. We need someplace, which something else we needed to look at, someplace to put those things other than that basement. When we renovated in 2004, the only place we had to put that was the basement. They put additional sump pumps down there in order to try to keep the water from getting that high, of course. And two, I want to point out that library has flooded even when we don't have a hurricane. It has flooded. Betsy's been over there a couple of times to take pictures from a bad storm, and we flood. The Brigman's sewer will flood in that basement sometimes. And so there are problems that come with the basement as far as water is concerned. Also, the basement is original. When that library was built, it had 2 fireplaces on the inside of the main floor, and coal was kept in the basement. The basement is original to the structure. So if we, and over the years, they've never messed with the original part of the structure. They've added on, but the original part remained original. So if we fill in the basement, that is then taking away from the historic value of that building. But we would need land in order to do that, to put the stuff that's in the basement someplace else.
All right.
Well, I'd like to comment. I'm Charlie Bethea. My grandmother was the first county librarian, Marysville Manning Bethea. The basement is not a problem. You can make it a problem, but it's not a problem. It's a solvable problem. If you got something you need to have in the basement, if you make a renovation and build new parts on the library, then whatever you had in the basement, you put it in there.
Yeah.
So we're not talking about oak trees, we're talking about acorns. That library is an oak tree to the city of Atlanta. All these reasons we finding that we don't want to do it is acorns. The people in Atlanta want that library to stay there. The land around the library is accessible to expand the library for the people of Atlanta and Dillon County. I can assure you that my grandmother would not have been in favor of abandoning that historical building to build some new building somewhere else, where half the money might be spent on buying a piece of property, when in the renovating the original location, that's not a problem. So I'm here to say we need to support the people of Atlanta and their desire for the renovation of the library. Yes, ma'am.
Let me just say that this board had no intentions of moving the library if the land around the library could be acquired for a reasonable price.
It can be.
Okay, but that was it, and this is the first time we heard that the land was acquirable. In all the meetings we've had, this is the first time that this board has been presented with the fact that now this land is acquirable. And I was so pleased to hear Mr. LaFama say that this morning. I was so pleased. I never thought I would. I was so pleased to hear that. Thank you, sir.
I disagree with what you just said. This is the first time you said the land was not available.
Was acquirable.
Was acquirable. Okay. When I was here the last time, I told y'all that I didn't want to say it. I told y'all that I would say it. That's acquirable. That's acquirable.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Mr. Langdon, may I say something? I'm not one of the
Yes,
board
you're
members.
on the agenda as well.
My name's Donna Hazelton. I'm just a citizen of Dillon County, and I volunteer at the libraries around. But the historic value of the Ladder Library cannot be disputed. It's a beautiful building. It is gracious in every element. But could you not consider building a new library for the accessibility of handicapped people and everything? Because it's really not, with the stairs and everything, it's not handicapped as far as that going upstairs and all. But you could take the historic library that we're all speaking of and turn it into a venue for the use of Dillon County residents to use for whatever, meetings, weddings, receptions, whatever you could use, and have it a historic place to come and have something, an event. But build a new library that would be, when you come, maybe near the school, and have it where when you come into Ladder from Dillon or wherever, you say, oh my gosh, look at that beautiful library sitting there. You know, what an asset it would be for the community. I just think, you know, you might want to regroup on that and reconsider. I know that I'm not good on the money or any of the basic stuff that you're talking about with all these gentlemen today, but it's something that I think if you brought it up again to the citizens of Ladder and the county people, I think they would say it's not handicap accessible to a lot of people. The children, scared to death, children are going to fall up and down those stairs, you know, running and all what they do. But have it where it's one beautiful building where Miss Yolanda can do her library stuff that she has to do, but have it for the citizens to use and make it a landmark, and use the old library and just renovate what money Mr. Stevens himself that would be left there, renovate that and take it into it and make money off of it and have it coming back into the town and have it, you know, something of that order. That's all I got to say, but I think you might want to reconsider it. Thank you.
There is no reason on God's green earth that the Ladder Library cannot be made handicap accessible through the renovation. Does anybody have any questions about what I just said?
I thought you were going to elaborate, so I was waiting to hear.
No, I just said, there's no reason why it cannot be handicap accessible.
Well, why hasn't it been handicap accessible all this time? Why hasn't it
Who's
been?
going to pay for it?
No, what I'm saying is that if all this money and the renovation, when the state come in with that, you know, there could be something, you know, to help do that. Whatever, you know, funds there are out there for the state or whatever.
You got the opportunity now. And it's not coming out of the taxpayer's pocket.
Well, you would make money off of this building if you did build a new library and redo this library to us, you know, get it different and have it and make money for the county. I mean, it's not, you know, all, it's not a bad thing. I mean,
The county museum across the street just sits there closed because nobody goes to it.
I mean, this could be, using this, like, it could not just be for Dillon County residents, it could be from all over, just to come have a venue that people could use from different areas.
I'm not familiar with government operations that are in business to make money.
So you wouldn't have to lose the library per se, use it and make it, you know, it's a start, and then use it, say, oh, I had my wedding reception here, I had my children's, whatever. It doesn't matter what you're using it for. You're going to pay a substantial fee to use that building because you can say, I had my event there. And it would be something, and you're adding back into the bank account.
Who's gonna pay to turn the library into that
if you, when you get through Mr. Stevens and know all that, when you do the thing on this about the, building a new library, and then maybe have funds allocated, you know, to allocate it to have, this upgrade a little bit, you know, change it up some. You don't have to really change a whole lot because of the beauty of it.
I just want to make a few comments, and I'm not going to go back on anything else that's been said because it's been adequately said and eloquently said. And I think all of these things have been established. I'm speaking as someone who is a property owner in downtown Latta. And I'm also speaking as somebody who has been in that community all my life, and somebody who has spent a considerable amount of money investing in downtown Latta. And if we allow, and I'm not going to back all these, talk about all these regions, and we can prevent this library from being moved somewhere else. We've got the funds, as it's already been discussed. But in 1999, I think, Latta formed a Latta Revitalization Commission. And several people have been on that thing. I was president at one time, LaFawn was president one time, and I think Cindy was. And the sole purpose of that organization was to enhance the downtown area of the town of Latta and to try to keep things going. And we have not been successful, people. You look at the closed buildings in downtown Latta. You look in any small community and you see closed buildings. And we're taking away something that is a cornerstone of our downtown area. And it's going to kill it even further. And we can put another thing like the museum there. And people, there are people to go to that museum now because I go down and let them in. But it's not utilized like it would be. And your proposal is wonderful. But that would not bring more people into downtown Latta. But if we allow this to happen, and we don't have to let it happen, folks, it's going to dry up the downtown area completely. And think about that. Now, Dillon is going to continue to grow. We've got the inland port here, and things are going to be happening in Dillon County. But we have a responsibility, and you have a responsibility as members of a Latta board to consider what exists in Latta right now. And we can maintain it, as it has been pointed out. The funds are there to do it, and the funds are there to keep it going without the county having to spend any more money there. Thank you.
Mr. Ficklen, you're on the agenda, please.
Mr. Chairman, board members, I represent the town of Latta on the county council, and I want to thank y'all for serving on this board free. Y'all take a lot of personal time, and I know y'all are interested in the library. And I want to thank all the citizens from Latta that came over here today to the very end of the city. And LaFawn, Fred, Charlie, Corky, they pretty well expressed my views. I want to really do what the people of Latta want. And everybody I've talked to, personally myself, wants the library to stay where it is. And if we got money enough, we can make it handicap accessible. We can fix the basement. We can just fill it in if we have to. And we got a lot now where we can expand. I'd just like to see it stay where it is. That's my opinion on it.
One last. Talking to my brother this morning, grandfather was the chairman of the state library board back in, what, the 20s, wasn't it?
29 through 34.
Okay. Well, he said, just as an offhand remark, he says, man, he said, that would be a shame that Dr. Dillon left money thinking it was going to save the library. Yet, it was, you know, think how bad that would be if that were subverted and if that money actually destroyed the library that he thought he was saving. Everybody in here is a regular, working, solid citizen. I'm sure every one of us in here is going to die, but also every one of us in here is going to have a will what we work for, what's gonna happen to that after we've gone, and that's what we're looking at here.
Very briefly, to expound a little bit on what Fred just indicated, I believe that the final decision on what to do in Loudoun is going to boil down to what the trustees think that trust directs them to do. Miss Rebecca McMillan, Dr. McMillan's mother, taught first grade in Loudoun. She taught me first grade, and she taught most of these fellows first grade. But can you imagine if somebody wanted to leave something to any governmental unit for the purpose of doing something like Dr. McMillan did? What do you think, not fixing the Loudoun Library, and he specified the Loudoun Library, nowhere else. What do you think that would do to somebody's thinking that maybe I shouldn't leave this money to whoever, because it might not get accomplished? And that's the reason I think that the trustees are going to have to determine what Dr. McMillan directed in his trust. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, point of correction, there is an event venue in Loudoun. There's 2 buildings away from the Loudoun Library now, the historic Edwards House. So there is an event venue there for rent.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me say something, that when this became available, that there was something that could be done for the Loudoun Library, and that the only reason this body was considering building a new library was to solve some of the problems in the old library, one, but was because we didn't have any space around there to execute Mr. McMillan's wishes of a reading room. We don't have the space. And so if what I've heard this morning, that this space is now available, then this body has something to reconsider.
And available.
Well, this was the first time it fell on my deaf ears, that the land really is available. I heard that it was very valuable at previous meetings, but this is the first time I heard that it was available. And so I'm glad to know that, because perhaps even with the flooding conditions and the approval of this board, maybe something could be done that way. But our constraints was that there was no land.
Well, so since that obstacle has been alleviated,
Write that down.
then I assume then your recommendation is going to be to renovate the library.
That would be my recommendation.
Thank you.
Write that down. I love that building. I worked in that building every day for 20-something years. I love that building. And if there's any way possible that we can do that, we're going to get some land. I would for that 100%. The problem was we did not have any place to expand. That was it. Because even with an expansion, the sewer problem that runs from the Brigman House into the back of the library, in fact, the sewer runs under the library from the Brigman's house, so I'm told from the last time that we renovated, and they dug down to find out where the pipes were running, which is one of the reasons that when the Brigman's have a backup, it floods into the Loudoun Library.
Acorns.
Well, we certainly appreciate everyone's comments and all the information that we gleaned from you folks. And, we certainly want to do what you want us to do.
I have a question. Since the representative from Wells Fargo did not get to be here because of whatever happened, and they didn't send anybody else, right?
No.
What is the Dr. McMillan money available for engineer studies, architectural. Do we know that, whether we can use that money for that or not?
I think that money would be available to do whatever needs to be done to add on to that library.
I think
That would all be
that would
part
need
of
to be
construction.
answered for sure before you get started on the whole, you know, adding on or whatever. That needs to be cleared up.
That's part of building.
Yeah, I would think that's just a part of the process, and you could use that money for that, whatever it takes to put that.
But they're awaiting a decision from this board, I think.
That's the
They're
only
not
way
gonna
we
do
can do
anything
anything.
until this board does their job.
And we can't do anything until we hear from Wells Fargo. They're the ones that have the final say-so whether we can use the money just for the reading room or for the library.
But they're awaiting a plan from you.
Yes, we are.
All right, now when I talked to DeWitt the other day, I said, well, you gonna be at the meeting? And he says, I will unless, I forget how he worded it, but something like, unless business or if he gets called to work, something, you know, interferes, he would be there. He says, can you call me when you get back and let me know? So should I tell him to contact board members about that if this is so, then, because he doesn't want to spend the money on an appraisal unless he thinks it's going somewhere.
Does he need the appraisal to find out how much his land is worth?
Well, he talked to John D., lives in Florence, his brother, and they said, well, the only way they would do it was to have a certified appraiser go through the procedure, write it up, and then that way, he and his brother and the library trustees feel like, okay, this is a justifiably fair price for the lot.
So he's not interested in any donation?
Better talk to everybody.
We sent him a letter quite a few months ago.
He said
asking
that.
just that.
Oh, yeah, he said that.
We're
But then
waiting
again,
for him as well.
Lots in Latta, if you look at what they're selling for, it's not, like Tommy would be more qualified to talk about residential building lots. It's not like it would be in, what you see in the Charleston newspaper when they advertise it.
Well, we've been offered to buy some land for, I think it was $145,000, and the board will vote in just a few minutes on whether or not, that proposal was rejected.
I think that one you're talking about, there's not any sidewalks anywhere around here. Talking about facilitating the things for children. Yeah.
But I have to have a formal vote in order to turn it down.
Well, if I can interject, it'd be kind of foolish to vote on whether or not to accept the proposal, because you don't have the money, I don't think, for the $140,000 to buy the land with. But then again, the trustees may say, no, we're not going to do it. I think it put the cart before the horse.
But no, the trustees that have talked about it is not in favor of accepting that bid. I just need a formal vote so I can say.
I got you. I'm just saying, if it was the other way around, I wouldn't want to spend money not knowing that.
You're right, we're aware of that.
Okay, thanks.
Well, with all the information that we have, and Yolanda Stevens, I would entertain a motion from the board to proceed with renovating that library.
I make a motion that we proceed.
Okay. All right, we've got a motion made and second to proceed with renovating that library. Any more discussion on it? If not, everybody in favor, raise your hand.
Oh, I have a problem with that. You got these people in here, we need to do this in closed session. Now,
That's against the Freedom of Information
Well,
Act.
I'm gonna go back to work, so I'm gonna leave your big brother. Y'all have a
just
good
don't,
day.
I'm not gonna
You can't vote in
make
closed
nobody
session.
feel that they're gonna strong on me in there. You know, we've been doing stuff in this meeting with us alone. You know, that's the way I feel.
That's
We've
fine,
been
that's fine.
doing stuff with this meeting alone, with us in here.
Okay, the others are dismissed now.
You can
That's
discuss,
against the state
I
law.
say take it.
you can discuss things in closed session, but a vote is, you have to have a public vote.
Y'all can vote.
You know, whether somebody's here or not, it's gotta be open to the public.
That's fine. Y'all can vote.
We'll try it again then. Everyone in favor of renovating the library, raise your hand. Okay. All right, motion carried. Thank you again for everybody's input, and we will be looking for help from everyone to make sure we do it right.
Thank you, sir.
And everybody be proud of it when it's through.
Thank you.
Get out of here, so y'all won't have to still be in the meeting at 3 this afternoon. People might get hungry.
We didn't have the land, we had no place to go.
That's true. But, the lady over there did bring up another point about the shooting.
Thank you for that. Appreciate that.
Mr. Lewis, who's with the little line? What did you say? I'm sorry.
The lady brought up a valid point about the children, the steps. Now, you talking about putting a handicap lift in there, but what about the children? Them tall steps.
They are tall students.
You're right.
Well, what we gonna do is, do whatever we have to do to make that library, safe and accessible to everybody.
I mean,
And that's what everybody wants, and we got the money to do it.
the 2,500 square feet was a bit small, in my opinion, but I'm thinking if we get the land that's on the side, we can build a big enough building like that all of that can be beautiful, that all of it can be beautiful.
Yeah, and everything for the children, Don, could go into that new addition, which would be on ground level, and that would take care of that.
That's the suggestion. All right, now I still have a problem too with Mr. Brigman's house. I mean, you know, we don't have but just a certain amount of money, and if people, you know.
Well, we don't need his house.
No, we don't need it for parking, we need somewhere for
Well, we're
parking.
gonna have parking with,
We will?
LaFawn's
Okay.
and with DeWitt's.
Okay.
We have 2 lots, we have plenty of
I
room.
didn't realize that, okay.
Yeah,
Well, that's,
Yeah, he-
because we don't have any parking.
his price, you know, we put himself completely out of the market, so we're not going that way.
Yeah, he wanted 275,000.
Yeah. And I would say, you know.
Oh, and I need to
Mr.
vote on that too. I need an official vote so I can say no, the board rejected that.
Well, we needed a motion to reject.
I need a motion to reject both of those proposals. The lot that's beside the railroad track, I think that's McDonald's, that should be in your packet, for 140,000, and for the 275,000 from the Brigman property.
Right.
I make a motion to reject both of those.
Second.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion on that? If not, all in favor of rejecting those 2 offers, raise your hand.
Amen.
I
Were you in favor of rejecting?
was talking to the set up.
Freedman's
Well, I'm
house
glad
flooding
that
into
Mr.
the
LeGrand
said that it
I
was
am so
because
glad we
he was
said
the
that.
one, he was the
He
whole.
was the
This was the first time
This
he
is,
ever said
Okay, I'm not
everything about
crazy.
the line. Now, you're not crazy.
You're not.
I was sitting over there listening to him when they first came to this meeting. It was about selling. It's getting a lot of rent, very valuable property. This is the first time he ever came up and said anything about it.
Okay. Because that's the only reason we look for
That's the
land
only
and
reason.
rights.
Of course, now, you know, that's a lawyer. Lawyer gonna tell.
Yeah.
Exactly right. And like, Mr. Coleman, we ain't hear nothing from him yet.
No, and he received a letter asking him if he would donate or if what price he thought his property would be worth. And we hadn't heard anything from him either.
Well, it's not gonna be, unsurmountable amount. Knows that lot would be, you know, too valuable.
At least we
Mr.
think it should be.
Stevens, you're in with real estate, what would you think would be a I don't have any idea what land would go for in those two land, because I mean, they're in down a good spot, so I don't know.
Yeah.
You have a clue?
Well, I sold a lot on Main Street where they just built a new house. Now they passed the Southern Methodist Church. They built a new house on the lot on Main Street, and they paid $6,500 for that lot.
Okay.
The 6,000?
$6,500.
Wow,
So
apparently.
Not $140,000?
no,
I'm teasing, I'm sorry, I just couldn't resist.
I guess because it's in town.
it was not being on 301 and not being on Main Street. Those would be high price locations. Mr. Coleman's lot, you know, would be a reasonable price. And I don't want to sit here and appraise it, but it would be something reasonable that we could afford. And they may, you know, they may do like Mr. Leggett and say they'll donate it. Who knows?
You did get that on camera, didn't you?
That was Now, I think y'all know.
Lunch is ready, y'all want to eat your lunch? After they went through all the trouble?
I think everybody knows how the people in Latta feel. Because we were going, whoa.
Our holdup was we didn't have the land to do anything with. There was just no land. And if the land problem has been solved, that would be
You haven't heard why the man from Wells Fargo couldn't be here today?
I told him, he retired 2 months ago. He retired. Mr. Richard, he retired 2 months ago. And so we're back to, I'm back to trying to get Monica Edwards on the phone again. She came a couple of times, doing the initial thing about that, but things change, people move around, that type thing. So.
Well, he had taken somebody else's place that had retired.
Yeah, he had taken, another guy moved to someplace else. But Richard retired, I talked to him this morning, he said, I retired 2 months ago, so I don't have anything to do with this anymore. I said, yes, sir.
That's a good thing. You should have let us know ahead of time. Because we really cannot do anything until, we hear from Wells Fargo, because they're the ones that have.
Well, now that you've gotten a commitment, even though it's a verbal commitment that we got on tape in the notes from Mr. Leggett, I don't see any reason why we can't move forward. We can,
because we're fulfilling the wishes of
trust.
Exactly.
Yeah, we just we have to tell the architect, what we want.
I shall.
And need him to draw the plans
I shall.
And ask him if there's
give us what we want.
to give us a better deal. I mean, because that's a lot of money. And usually when you start building it, you can things something's gonna have to be renovated or fixed, so it might go over. Yeah, but that is exciting. That is
But it is exciting.
I didn't know you could add them to.
I would love to add on to that building. The problem was the land. And so now that Mr. Leggett has pulled that out.
That's
Get that roll up right.
Don't even that.
I'm putting it up and locking them down.
You better get that roll up right.
And the main thing, whatever we add, we need to make sure it looks like the library.
Yeah.
And don't
just
make
stick
it some modern addition to an old building. But make the new addition blend in with the
So
old.
it don't look like it's so new.
Right.
Would you use that first architect that came, or do you need another?
Well, Wells Fargo hired that architect. We didn't have,
Okay.
we as the Dillon County people didn't have any control over who they selected. Now, David, I think his name's David Moore. He's a terrific architect. I think he does things a little too modern for my taste. But you know, I'm a poor person, so I don't get a whole lot of experience with these, you know, up-class architects. So I'm sure he can. He's really an expert in libraries and library buildings around the
Do we need a
state.
second opinion?
Sometimes I wonder about architects.
Yeah.
Just like we had an architect on this building, and it's been leaking ever since they built it. Dillon High School had an architect.
It leaked ever since they built that.
It's been leaking ever since it's been built.
50 years.
The heating and cooling doesn't work like it's supposed to. My wife like froze to death when she was teaching out there. First Citizens Bank's having problem with the water running in that new building. And also.
Not the new building.
Yeah, and the heating and cooling system's out now. They got the doors open to cool the building. And you would think architects, I mean, that's the reason you hire them to do things so you don't have problems.
Well, do we need to make a motion that we hire another architect just to see the difference, or see if we had, I don't know, I mean, do we choose the first one?
We're gonna have to do what, we're gonna have to
Wells
do what they
Fargo.
want to
Whatever
do.
Wells Fargo,
Yeah.
okay,
That's right.
that's fine.
Because
And they were the one that.
It's their money.
That's their money.
And that one was
Librarian
and
architect.
he worked on these Carnegie buildings, right? That
He has
So,
done that
well,
before, too.
that's good.
But it was mostly to persuade them to build a new building. I don't think they've just a few buildings that are still in operation as libraries in the state of South Carolina. But I'm hoping this will be big enough that, and this is purely my, there will be a big enough space to actually have a community meeting in the library somewhere. I hope and pray that.
I hope so too for you. Well, we don't have to build just 2,500 square feet, do we?
I'm hoping we'll build more than that.
Just because he
I'm
wrote
hoping
that
we'll
on
build
his
more than that.
paper.
I'm hoping it will be bigger.
I think they would let us do what we need. There was no use of building something new and it not being adequate.
Yeah, not big,
Right.
So,
big enough for the
build it
future.
big enough
Make it lateral.
to start with.
Well, he won't be confined to what we have now, because we're gonna get some more land.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm so excited about that. I never thought I'd hear it with these little ears. Your lunch has been put out for you, so go ahead and grab your lunch. Sorry, Mr. Stevens. Sorry, Mrs. Dixon, I didn't say that.
I'm gonna have to run, I have to listen.
Do take your folder with you so you can.
How you doing, John?
Any discussion about it? All approved, say aye. Aye. Okay, go on. Financial reports.
The financial reports you will find in your packet, and just a few other pages down. Don't ask me where it is. I got roll of call. Where are the financial? Do forgive me, I am terribly unorganized. Still looking at the wrong one. Send me one of those folders over there. I'm still looking at the wrong one.
Excuse me.
As you can see, the county human resources, that's the staff salaries and benefits. We've got $358,000 allotted from the county in order to cover those expenses this year. We've spent $67,660 $16 so far this year. We've also added 3 additional staff people, well, not added, we've replaced 3 additional staff people. So that number should go up a little bit when we have our meeting in January. We're full staff. And in January also, those ladies will be introduced to the library board. I figured with all we had going on this morning, I would take that off the agenda. County books was $4,000 was appropriated. For auto, excuse me, I skipped that. $1,200 was appropriated, and we've had some serious issues with our bookmobile this year, and so we've already gone over in that category by about $96.19. And so come January, when it's time to ask for a budget, we might need to consider asking for a few dollars more in that category, hopefully. Repair and maintenance, building operation is $43,500. We spent $14,000 so far this year. That leaves us a balance of $28,000 to finish out our fiscal year. Supplies, $7,500 was appropriated. We've spent that just a little bit, and we still have $6,111 left in that category. Meeting and travel, of course, is when the staff is asked to go from one location to another and the squad car isn't available, then they are reimbursed for travel from going to those places, and that happens from time to time. We've spent about $800, well, almost $900, $892 so far this year in meeting and travel. I was fortunate enough to be able to attend the conference last month in October in Columbia, and so that too is included in that as well. The computer services, which is one of our, that and electricity is one of our big ticket items. So far, out of $40,000 that was appropriated, we asked for an increase in that budget, but we didn't get it. But so far, we spent $29,000 in that budget so far. So the $10,989 is supposed to last us the rest of the year. The good part about it is some of the big items, like the paying for our the software that runs our library system, is $10,000 that comes out all at one time. The paying for our computer support is $18,000 that comes out all at one time. So those big ticket items have been accounted for already, but that is a low balance of what we've got to last us until July. We'll see how that goes. We might, I might have to be over there again with my hand out before too long. We will see. State aid is a good news to report. State aid this year appropriated $100,000 as opposed to the $75,000 minimum grant that we usually receive. Now the minimum grant, and I don't know how long it's going to stay there, but keep your fingers crossed, is $100,000. And so we've got $97,000 because $3,000 is deducted from our state aid in order to go into salaries. We've got $97,000 to buy materials and provide services for our public here in Dillon County. Grants and donation, we had $18,000 in lottery, and we spent about half of that, and so we've got about $9,600 left in our lottery funds. Any other questions? On the page behind that is I did a breakdown of what vendor receives those monies, that kind of stuff, who we purchase these things from. And I tried to go back and say what was a book company, what was a software company, South Carolina Library Association, of course. The travel things are included in here. The phone company. Verizon is $3,000. What is AT&T? $4,000. But Verizon, we use our mobile hotspots that we loan the internet out to people, and which is why Verizon has such a large amount, because we pay Verizon every month so that we can so that the library will have 20 mobile hotspots, and we loan those out to people.
That is wonderful.
So they get to take the internet home with them. If there's any vendor over there that you don't recognize, I'd be glad to answer your question.
Move on to circulation.
The staff and I are working hard this time to, once again, do better with our, we've got projects in the work to try to increase library use and to try to increase circulation, because circulation keeps going down. And I see I even forgot to put the bookmobile circulation in here. And one of the reasons for that is our bookmobile person left us quite suddenly, and I didn't get a chance to do that report. So I apologize for that. I will get that to you. I just realized just now that that's not included in there. But we're working on it. We're hoping to participate in the Dillon Parade this year. The library staff has agreed that they would, we're going to do a children read type contest so that we can get some children to actually be on the float for the library and represent the library going down the street. And we're going to do Dillon this year. Maybe next year we'll do Latta. I think the last time we were on the float we were in Latta. So we're going to do Dillon this year. And then maybe next year we'll do another town so that we can get around to everybody. The rent of the float is $400, and so we couldn't do 3 at this time. $400 would be for each day, and so that was a bit much.
That is high.
When we're poor.
Okay, anybody have any questions? Okay, Dillon, you give us some good news for our new circulation desk.
Our new circulation desk is completely paid for thanks to Mr. Stevens of the Dunbar Fund of $20,000, and then $6,241.69 was of the state lottery was used to complete that that invoice and to pay that invoice. We're enjoying using it, and Betsy says she's going to come back and take a picture of it for the newspapers. So we're pleased with that.
But Miss Dunbar is still helping us.
Still helping us out.
It
is
A long, long time.
We're in kind of a little bit of a problem with the wiring. We cut all the wires in order to put the desk in, and so we're in the process of trying to get those put back in. So there are times that you'll call the library if only one person's here, because if the phone rings in the back room, it no longer rings out front anymore because of we mess up the other wiring. But we're working on getting that back up, and so keep calling us, and after a while we'll answer it.
Okay. Library internet.
Our circuit was upgraded, and we're still working on the bugs of getting that, getting the bugs worked out with that, because the speed isn't showing up like it's supposed to. We're supposed to be up to 80 megs, so we're still working on that. We did a report earlier last week, and it's still at 60, and it's supposed to be up to 80, because they told me they had finished the upgrade, but it's still, the circuit needs to be turned up a little bit more, but we're upgrading to 80 megs. We are also upgrading the public computers from Windows 7 to Windows 10, and we're in the process of trying to work out those bugs. So when we finish, all the computers in Dillon, Latta, and Lakeview will run Windows 10 as opposed to Windows 7, which is what we were using previously. And so we're hoping to get that finished in the next few days.
Okay.
One more thing about computers, and I'm hush. We are in the process of replacing all the staff computers. It's been a few years that we've had to pull. We usually try to keep the staff consistent with every staff computer is identical, so that when Christina is at Latta or she's at Lakeview, you're still using the same machine. We've had some trouble with some of them, and they've just died. So we're replacing all of the staff computers with new Windows 10 computers as well. That will give the staff the practice of using Windows 10 so that they will be in a better position to help those people that are coming into the library that will be using Windows 10 now as opposed to Windows 7.
And your new staff.
The new staff, that I wanted to scratch that and revisit that in January. We've got 3 new staff members, and we'll do that in January. Michelle and Rose and Mary, but we'll do that in January because I figured you had a long day today. I meant to take that off, I apologize for that as well, sir.
Yolanda, excuse me, how do you pronounce Bruce's last name?
I don't know, I told her to take me a while. And me especially, it will take me a while.
Okay.
Miss G.
Miss G, that sounds good.
Okay. All right, Friends meeting.
The Friends meeting, nobody showed up. And so we're gonna have to,
No friends?
we're gonna have to schedule that again. We're gonna have to schedule that again because nobody showed up. We do need a meeting. And we do need to start of our Friends of the Library fundraising stuff too. Because we've had a little bit of a setback with our Friends funds. And so, in fact, the Friends report that you'll see there, we are down to $1,700 and so with our bank account. And so that's gonna get used up really quickly. And so we need to do a fundraiser to see if we can't get some money in there as well. And you want to thank Betsy, she made a donation last month, I think it was last month, it might have been this month, I can't remember exactly. And the United Way, the $200, they give us $200 or $225 every couple of months. Money we find on the floor or anywhere, or somebody says, oh, just keep the change and stuff. Unknown for ladder, they reported $9.02. And then we have our jar fund, that ladder always beats Dillon with that. We've got $5.53 that was donated at Dillon, and $45.86 at ladder of donations that people will just drop a few coins in our jars. And so that money is used for support our Imagination Library. And right now we're not putting any news applications into our Imagination Library until after we try to do a fundraiser. And the holidays are usually the best time to try to ask people to donate to this cause. And so we're planning to do that in the next few weeks. And of course, I told you that Mrs. Clayton Parham donated, and then Donna Taylor donated. Those are both ladder people. And then Paisley offered $3. I put it down as membership dues. Because when you donate $100, you become a lifelong member.
Okay. Is that all we have?
Well, I wanted to say our fall book sale at Ladder, because it rained us out. I think it rained that Saturday morning or something. Didn't go too well, but we're still working on it. I think we made $14 that day. So we're working on it. I think that's it. Yes, sir.
Well, I'm glad to say we accomplished a lot today.
I think so.
Maybe the ones of us that didn't sleep any last night, we can sleep tonight.
Yes. Anxiety and indigestion.
Okay, does anybody have anything else you'd like to bring up?
Lord, thank you for miracles. Thank you.
Amen.
Give him the
Okay. Well, if we don't have anything, I'll entertain a motion.
Make the motion to dismiss. I second.
All in favor? Good.